वक्रतुंड महाकाय सूर्यकोटि समप्रभ निर्विघ्नं कुरु मे देव सर्वकार्येषु सर्वदा सरस्वती नमस्तुभ्यं वरदे कामरूपिणी विद्यारंभं करिष्यामि सिद्धिर्भवतु मे सदा गुरु ब्रह्मा गुरु विष्णु गुरुदेवो महेश्वरः गुरु साक्षात् परं ब्रह्म तस्मै श्री गुरवे नमः येनाक्षर समाम्नायम् अधिगम्य महेश्वरात् कृष्णं शोक्रनं प्रोक्तं तस्मै पाणिनये नमः वाक्यकारं वररुचिं भाष्यकारं पतञ्जलिं पाणिनिं सूत्रकारं च प्रणतोऽस्मि मुनित्रयम्
धन्यवादः महोदय। सर्वेभ्यः स्वागतमस्ति। So we started learning about the Akanksha Kramaha and Anvaya Paddhati, and we also have homework related to those. Any questions about what we learned in the last class? Any doubts? No? अस्तु, अग्रे सरामः वा? Usha Mahoday, what did we learn in the last class about how to given a vakyam? How do we go about understanding its meaning? What are the steps we learned?
First off, you identify the Kriya Padam. And then having identified the Kriya Padam, you look for the Karta. You ask the seven question, Prashna Shabdas. You use that to establish who's the Karta, is there Karma, who's the Karmam, and then no Karanam, Karta, Karanam, then you Karta, the Karanam, then you go on to ask whether, depending on the sentence, you ask the correct question to establish the relationship to the Kriya. If there is a Viseshana Shabdam attached to a Nama Padam, then you use Kidrisham. If there is a Twa Pratyaya or a Lya Pratyaya, then you use Kim Kritva.
Oh, Uttamam, Uttamam. So the Kidrusha question, you can ask to any padam. It's not just the Kartru padam, because Kidrusha is also has all the 7 vibhakti. So if the Uttamena Balakena Aham Saha Aham Gacchami, so Balakena is in Trutya vibhakti. So the Viseshana is Uttamena. So then we have to ask the Kidrusha question in the Trutya vibhakti. Kidrushena Balakena Saha Aham Gacchami. Likewise for any other vibhakti. And it's not just, so the Saptakakaras we have to ask, that is correct. But we can also ask additional questions. Like the Kidrusha is one example, Kati is another example. And we'll study about Kiyat soon. So other types of questions are also possible. And for Twa and Lep, you said Kim Krutva, that is good. If it is a Tumun Pratyaya, what's the question we will ask?
Tumun, you say Kim, I've forgotten that one. Krit,
Kim Kartum.
I forgot.
To do what? Uttama.
And if you're repeating, you punaha. That's the other thing.
If you are repeating the same thing, we'll ask punaha. So we'll finish the topic with Vakyani. and then we will start the Vayrachana for shloka. So that is the whole goal or whole thing we've been waiting for in the last 18 months or so. So we will start the Vayrachana of shlokas. But before that, we need to do a little bit more abhyasa with Vakyani, because it covers a few more types of questions that we may be able to ask. Okay. So I think we stopped. Where did we stop? Did we stop here? I think we stopped question 3.
So on question 2, Mahoday, on question 2, Putra Kameshti.
Astu. So in this Vakyam, Nrupaha Dasarataha.
Rama Lakshmana, we finished till Putra Kameshti.
Okay, we'll start with question 3. But I want to correct one thing that I said wrong in the last class. Atra Nrupaha Dasharataha is there. I said this is a Visheshana Vishesha Bhava. It is not strictly correct. So even though the Linga Vachana Vibhakti of Nrupa is the same as Linga Vachana Vibhakti of Dasharatha, there is no Vishesha Visheshana Bhava, because the Nrupa Shabda exists only in Pullinga. So for a word, for a padam to be qualified, to be considered as a Visheshanam, it has to be in all 3 lingas. This exists only in Pullinga. So the relationship between these two is called as Uddeshya Vidheya Bhavaha. It's a slightly complex topic because there are many rules associated with it. We will study that a little later, but for now, know that it is called Uddeshya Vidheya Bhavaha. It is not Vishesha Visheshana Bhavaha. But the question that you asked is Kidrusha. So, Kaha asti Dasharataha asti, Kidrushaha Dasharataha asti, Nrupaha Dasharataha.
Anumodaya.
Pruchhatu Mahodaya.
So in this sentence, there can be 2 words with Pratama Vibhakti Ekavachana. This Visheshana Vishesha Bhava, we learned that it can be there. But if it is not, then only one Namapada, right? So how?
So can there be more than one Uddesha Vidheya Bhava? Is that the question?
No, the Karta Pada, generally we make sure that when one Pada is there, then all others are Visheshana Vishesha Bhava. And today we learned about Uddesha Videya Bhava. So it's similar like Visheshana Vishesha, where there can be many words.
Correct. There can be many words. Okay.
So is it Samasa? It will become something or later?
It's not Samasa. So it is also adding more information about the word that we are talking about, the padam that we are talking about. But it is not Visheshanam, first of all, because it doesn't exist in all 3 lingas. And second, it is revealing additional information about that padam, but it is strictly not how can I say it? Not strictly an adjective. Let us put it that. So it is a slightly complicated topic with many rules. We will have one separate class just for that. For now, just know that if the padam that we think is a Visheshanam doesn't exist in all 3 lingas, then it is not Vishesha Visheshana Bhava, but Uddesha Videya Bhava. Now the question comes, how do we know if a padam exists in all 3 lingas? It comes with practice. Or look it up in the Kosha. I will point along.
We have not in Sasyam 3 the usage of Kiyat. So if when time permits, can you show a few usage of Kiyat?
Avashya. I do.
Mahoday.
Vadatu, Swami.
Sorry. No, so this Uddeshya Videya Bhava, it also applies to the Krishna Vasudevaya, all that, right? So they're no more to be treated as, because they're all padams which can change linga.
Satyam.
Right, Ramaya, Ramabhadraya.
I think that's a good point. So is it possible that Ramabhadra can exist in Srilinga? I don't know. Yeah, I I'll have to look it up for it. I also don't know. So many of the things, for example,
Mahodaya, can I have one more question?
Ekachana Mahodaya.
Yeah.
So many of the adjectives that we use for our devas and devatas, they can exist in Srilinga also. Although we may study them or know them only in a particular linga, there is nothing to say it cannot exist in Srilinga or in Napunsa. It is possible. It depends on a case by case. Vadatu Haraprasad Mahodaya.
Yeah. Now, when a verb is implied, like bhavati, asti, you used the word last time, is called adhyakrut.
Adhyakrutam.
Adhyakrutam. Okay, that's the word I wanted. I couldn't hear you well. Adhyakrutam. Okay, dhanyawad.
Krutam Nastima.
Come again, please.
Look at the screen, Mahodaya. I'm typing the name.
Okay.
Not Krutam.
Okay.
Krutam.
Dhanyawad.
Chintala. So let's do the abhyasa today. I want to make sure that I cover people who I was not able to get to last time. I made a note of that. Bhagya Mahoday, please start us off with number 3. Bhagya Mahoday, अस्ति वा? नारायणन् महोदय, भवान् करोति वा तृतीयम्?
तृतीयं वा?
आं महोदय, तृतीयम्.
ओके. रामलक्ष्मणौ यज्ञरक्षणार्थं विश्वामित्रेण सह वनं गतवन्तौ.
प्रथमं किं करणीयम्?
क्रियापदं रामलक्ष्मणौ वनं गतवन्तौ. So गतवन्तौ क्रियापदं.
So one note here, even though strictly gatavan, gatavantau, gatavantaha is not a kriya padam in the strictest sense because it's a nama padam, it is not a tinganta padam. It doesn't have lakara forms, but it has vibhakti form. For the purpose of this exercise or doing or even for shlokas, we treat this as a kriya padam because it acts like a kriya. वदतु महोदय.
कौ गतवन्तौ रामलक्ष्मणौ गतवन्तौ.
उत्तमम्.
किं गतवन्तौ वनं गतवन्तौ.
किं गतवन्तौ वा? कुत्र
गतवन्तौ.
So because it's a gam dhatu,
कं गतवन्तौ या कुत्र गतवन्तौ.
Kam na, Vanam I think is a Napunsakalingam. So Kim, but because this is a Gam Dhatu, the question when you ask Kutra to a Gam Dhatu, the answer will be in Ditya Vibhakti.
Correct. So, yeah.
Kutra is more appropriate.
Okay.
Ah.
केन सह गतवन्तौ विश्वामित्रेण सह गतवन्तौ
उत्तमम्
किमर्थं गतवन्तौ विश्वामित्रेण सह यज्ञरक्षणार्थं विश्वामित्रेण सह वनं गतवन्तौ
किमर्थम् और किं कर्तुं द्वौ अपि साधुः you can ask either of them उत्तमम् Hemanti Mahoday, have you caught up? Are you think you'll be able to do this?
अहं प्रयत्नं करोमि महोदय
करोतु
रामः चापं भित्त्वा भेदनं कृत्वा सीतां विवाहितवान्
So here भेदनं कृत्वा is just given as a meaning to help you. It is not strictly part of the sentence. I've added this only to help you understand the meaning of this word. Bhitva means to break. Bhedanam.
क्रियापदं विवाहितवान् just like gatavantau
sorry what was
no okay no vivahitvan is a kriyapadam kah vivahitvan ramah vivahitvan ramah kam vivahitvan ramah सीतां विवाहितवान् रामः किं कृत्वा सीतां विवाहितवान् रामः भेदनं कृत्वा और भित्त्वा सीतां भित्त्वा सीतां विवाहितवान् रामः किं भित्त्वा
कं भित्त्वा
ओके रामः कं भित्त्वा सीतां विवाहितवान् रामः चापं भित्त्वा सीतां विवाहितवान्
उत्तमम् अर्थः कः वाक्यस्य
so chapam is bow, okay, so by oh my goodness, by using the arrow, not using, I guess, Vedanam Krutva, so I'm fighting with the word.
Vedanam Krutva or Bhitva means breaking, after breaking.
Okay, yes. After breaking, Ram married Sita after breaking the bow.
Uttama. Now, imagine if I added one more word here. Shivasya chapam bhitva Sitam vivahitavan. So, how would you ask a question for Shivasya?
So, Ramaha kasya chapam bhitva Sitam vivahitvan. Ramaha.
Shivasya chapam bhitva.
Ramaha Shivasya chapam bhitva.
उत्तमम् रोहिणी महोदय एतत् करोतु कृपया
कैकेयी दशरथं द्वौ वरौ पृष्ठवती पृष्ठवती is the kriyapadam का पृष्ठवती कैकेयी पृष्ठवती कौ पृष्ठवती वरौ पृष्ठवती कति वरौ पृष्ठवती द्वौ वरौ पृष्ठवती कं वरौ पृष्ठवती दशरथं वरौ पृष्टवती।
उत्तमम्। अर्थः कः वाक्यस्य?
कैकेयी asked for 2 boons, no, 2 varam from Dasharatha.
उत्तमम्। पृष्टवती क्रियापदं, का पृष्टवती, कैकेयी पृष्टवती, कं पृष्टवती, दशरथं पृष्टवती, कौ पृष्टवती, वरौ पृष्टवती, कति वरौ पृष्टवती, द्वौ वरौ पृष्टवती. So you can ask the questions in any order. I prefer to do it as karta first.
Yes, yes, I changed the order.
That's okay. It doesn't really matter. But my experience, if you identify karta and karma, those are the most difficult parts to identify. Once you do that, the rest of the things are just adding masala, as one of my teachers used.
Yes, yes, yes.
Mahodaya, for thou, can we use कीदृश?
Yeah. कीदृशौ वरौ. You can ask that.
Yeah. Okay.
So that is because even Sankhya, they are Visheshana Vishesha Bhava. We haven't studied Sankhya as Visheshana Vishesha Bhava. That's why we left it as Kati.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Bhagya Mahoday, अस्ति वा?
महोदय।
करोति वा एतत्?
महोदय। रामः सीता लक्ष्मणः च चित्रकूटे सन्तोषेण उषितवन्तः। अत्र क्रियापदम् उषितवन्तः।
अर्थः कः उषितवन्तः इत्यस्य?
लिविंग। संतोषेण संतोष।
लिव्ड भूतकाल।
लिव्ड उषितवन्तः। बहुवचनं महोदय।
बहुवचन. So what is the dhatu from which this is derived? Do you know?
उषितवन्तः वस् धातु, right महोदय?
वस् धातु.
वस् धातु.
वस् धातोः लट्लकार रूपाणि कानि?
वसति, वसतः, वसन्ति.
So उषितवान्, उषितवन्तौ,
उषितवन्तः.
So what form is this word?
उषितवन्तः
or उषितवान्, whichever.
उषितवान् तवतु प्रत्यय महोदय.
सत्यं. So वस् धातोः तवतु प्रत्यय is उषितवान् पुंलिङ्गे, उषितवती स्त्रीलिङ्गे.
उषितवन्तः बहुवचन प्रथमाविभक्ति.
पुंलिङ्गे बहुवचन. उषितवान्, उषितवन्तौ, उषितवन्तः. सत्यम्. स्त्रीलिङ्गे किं भवति? उषितवती,
उषितवती, उषितवत्यौ, उषितवत्यः.
नदी शब्दवत्. उत्तमम्. So this is the क्रियापदम्. अग्रे सरतु.
काः उषितवन्तः? रामः सीता लक्ष्मणः उषितवन्तः. Can I say that?
You can say that. Usually that possible. If you want to do one word at a time.
कः उषितवन्तः? रामः उषितवन्तः. पुनः का उषितवती? सीता उषितवती. पुनः कः उषितवान्? लक्ष्मणः उषितवान्.
सत्यम्. धन्यवादः. अत्र क्रियापदं बहुवचने अस्ति. The kartrupadam are given as 3 separate words. That is why instead of asking each individual question, We can also ask ke ushitavantaha Ramah Lakshmanah cha ushitavantaha. Why ke?
Ke bahuvachana.
But
Kaha kauke.
Kaha kauke, but that is a pullinga bahuvachana. Atra Sita asti. Atra Sita api asti. How do you reconcile?
It's a Rama Sita Lakshmanaha cha. So if you
so if it was instead of Ramaha, let us say Kaikeyi Sita Lakshmanaha. Then what will you ask?
Kaha.
Why Lakshmana is there?
Yeah, but you said still K Mahodaya, still K.
No,
still
K only. So the reason is whenever we have Strilinga and Pumlinga as part of a collection, we use the Pumlinga question or Pumlinga Kriya Padam.
Pumlinga Kriya. Okay.
Mahodaya, I thought the majority, if it is here Pullinga is majority, that's why
No, it's not like that.
Okay. And other question is, how can you say punaha, because ka is a different, entirely different. Can you combine kaha Ramaha, punaha, ka Sita, because they are two different.
No, that's not what she said. She said kaha ushitavan, Ramaha ushitavan, ka ushitavati. Yeah, it is different. I agree with you. That is why it is, because this is a collection, it is better to ask ke ushitavantaha Ramaha Sita Lakshmanaha cha ushitavantaha.
But my question is, can you use punaha if it is two different lingas?
If you want to get to identify separately or more, want to get more precise, sure, because you cannot ask kaha on Sita. Then you'll have to change the question also, right? It won't be kaha ushitavantaha, it will be kaha ushitavan. That is why it is better to ask ke, because these three are related and the Kriya Padam is in Bahu.
Okay.
Lakshmi Mahodaya, Prashna asti va?
Mahodaya. You said because this Rama, Lakshmanaha, we could use K. Now, if it is Kausalya, Kaikeyi, Sumitra, Dasharatha cha. Vanam gatavantaha, sorry. Vanam gatavantaha. Then what would be the common question?
Why did you say gatavantaha? Why not say gatavatyaha?
Yeah. Yes.
So the rule of thumb is, whenever there is one male or a Pumlinga Padam in a collection, the collection takes on the Pumlinga form.
Okay.
Gatavatyaha. So that is why the Prashna will also become K. Kaha kauke.
Dhanyavada Mahodaya.
And Mahodaya, is it also that the Pullinga is always placed in the last, as the last word?
No, there is no such rule. We can do it anyway. Ramaha, Lakshmanaha, Sita cha vanam gatavantau only.
Okay, because I was thinking in terms of, okay, that might be a little...
if you do samasa, then that is a different story. Then the linga of the samasta padam becomes the linga of the last word in that collection. But here we are using it as three distinct words. So when you are using distinct words, the linga of the collection and the corresponding savatu or any other pratyaya or the prashnavachaka form will take on the pumlinga form.
Okay.
So even if there are 99 Strilinga words and one Pullinga word, it becomes Pullinga. It's not a majority kind of a thing. It's just a rule. That's all.
Dhanyavada.
अग्रे गच्छतु भाग्य महोदय.
सन्तोषेण उषितवन्तः, or can I do चित्रकूटे first, महोदय?
Either one. अत्र कर्मपदं नास्ति, अतः
कर्मपदं नास्ति. कुत्र उषितवन्तः? चित्रकूटे उषितवन्तः. Right? And कीदृशेन उषितवन्तः? सन्तोषेण उषितवन्तः.
उत्तमं. कीदृशेन उषितवन्तः क्रियापदं. के उषितवन्तः? रामः, सीता, लक्ष्मणः च उषितवन्तः. कुत्र उषितवन्तः? चित्रकूटे उषितवन्तः. कीदृशेन उषितवन्तः? सन्तोषेण उषितवन्तः. So strictly speaking, you can ask either way. Order doesn't matter. But we are talking about ushitavantaha, lived. So what makes most sense to know about lived? What is the first thing that makes sense? Where did they live? So this is helps. This asking the kutra first will help you understand the vakyam better. So the whole purpose of this exercise is to get more context for the vakyam and to understand it better, right? So how they live, yes, we need to know, but it helps to know where they live first. So I would ask this first.
Mahodaya, for Santoshi, you don't use kena?
You can, because it's Trutiya Vibhakti Ekvachanam. But kena doesn't help you understand the meaning by what it they live. So you expect some kind of a upakaranam as the answer, right? How with what did they live? With happiness. With happiness. Tadapi vaktum shakti. Kena ushitavantah santoshena कीदृशेन द्वौ अपि साधु. You can ask either.
I think bhavavachaka shabda maybe कीदृशेन better.
कीदृशेन helps you understand it better because it's a bhavavachaka. Satya. But kena is not wrong. That's all I'm saying.
महोदय, कथं एक प्रश्नं, कथं उषितवन्तः अपि सम्यक् अस्ति?
कथं, how did they live with happiness, सन्तोषेण, तदपि सत्यं, तदपि साधु एव. You can ask that also.
आमां, धन्यवादः.
अन्ये प्रश्नाः सन्ति वा?
महोदय, the cha which is an avyaya, so will become the part of the first tree. Ramaha, Sita, Lakshmanaha, cha.
Correct. So for avyayas like cha and he and na, there are no questions that you can ask that will elicit that word as the response. So you either, depending on, you don't have, in the last class we studied, right? Suptasya simhasya mukhe na pravishanti. So we took na pravishanti as the kriya. So you can read this either as part of your response or as part of the kriya, depending on the vak.
Yeah, correct. Mahodaya, it is nahi pravishanti.
Nahi pravishanti. Satya. Yeah. So there you treat nahi pravishanti as part of the kriya or na pravishanti because he is adding, it's just an emphasis. It's not adding any extra meaning to the vakya. You can drop ki in that.
Okay. All right.
So I hope I have covered everybody that I could not get to last time. Let's go in an order.
No, you didn't cover me, Mahodaya.
Last time I got you last time.
Oh, I see. Okay.
Kanchan Mahodaya, etat karu.
यः सन्यासी रूपेण सीताम् अपहरितवान् सः रावणः। क्रियापदमस्ति अपहरितवान्।
So what is this vakyam trying to say here?
That in the form of a sadhu who took Sita, means who took Sita was Ravana.
Or in another way, he who took Sita in the form of a sannyasi, he is Ravana. So we are using the yad shabda here. So whenever we use yad shabda, what is it that we are trying to, what is the underlying implication there? How many kriya padas are there? How many vakyas are there actually? One or more?
Actually, there are two here.
Sundari Mahodaya, let Kanchan Mahodaya answer. If she cannot answer, you can.
Sorry.
Chintana.
Mahodaya, tatra there are more this thing to this. Kah अपहरितवान् यः अपहरितवान् कः यः अपहरितवान्.
No. So hold on. Let's go in an order. So let's take a very simple sentence. Yaha pathati saha balakaha. How many vakyas are there?
Two.
What are the two?
Yaha patati.
Let me type it so you don't have to keep everything in your mind. Vadatu.
Yaha patati saha balak. There is one.
Yaha pathati saha balakaha.
Like one who is reading is a boy or is a child.
He who is reading, he is a boy. So, okay. Anybody? How many are there? So, what is it that we are trying to say here? Is this one sentence? Are there two sub-sentences? What is the structure here?
There are two sentences which are combined with the yaha. One who he's a
right. There are two sentences. He who is reading is a boy. So he is a boy, he is reading. So when we combine those two, we will say he who is reading is a boy. Same way in Sanskritam, saha pathati, saha balakaha. So there are two vakyas there. So saha pathati, saha balakaha. So adhyahuta padam asti, right? Saha pathati, kshamyata, not here. Saha balakaha asti. So when we combine these two, yaha pathati saha balakaha, and then atra adhyahrutam asti padam.
Okay.
Is it clear so far?
Yes.
So who are we talking about? We are talking about the balakaha, and then we are saying who is that balakaha? He who is reading. So atra क्रियापदद्वयम् अस्ति, एकं वाक्यद्वयम् अस्ति, अतः क्रियापदद्वयमपि अस्ति. So there are two sentences, and therefore there are two kriya pada. The first kriya pada is asti, which is adhyakritam. Another kriya padam is pathati. So first we deal with the main kriya. Saha balakaha asti. He is a boy. And then we go to whatever is qualifying or defining that boy.
Okay. Okay.
With that as a background, try this.
Okay. Kriya padam will be asti.
Saha Ravanaha asti. That is the primary. Primary one. So we are talking about Ravana. We are saying he is Ravana. Who is Ravana? He who has taken Sita away in the form of a sannyasi. He is Ravana.
Okay. So kriya padam asti. Kaha asti. Saha asti.
Ravanaha.
Okay, Ravana asti. Then
कीदृशः रावणः?
कीदृशः रावणः? सन्यासी रूप.
No. We are still doing this.
यह रावणः.
न महोदय, we are still doing सः रावणः अस्ति. You have asked question about kaha asti, Ravanaha asti. We still need to get an answer to this, right? You still need to ask a question to this.
Okay. Kaha Ravanaha? Saha Ravana?
कीदृशः रावणः? सः रावणः. What type of Ravana? That Ravana. He Ravana. So there can be many Ravanas. Eshah Ravanaha, Saha Ravanaha. So which Ravana we are talking about? Saha Ravana, that Ravana. Remember, the Sad Shabda is also Vishesha Bhava. So you have to ask Kidrisha.
Kidrisha Ravana, Saha Ravana.
So now this part is complete. Now let us go to the secondary or subsidiary Vakyam. So the way we do the Anvaya Rachana is you take two questions. You treat them as two separate things. So in this Vakyam, if you are doing Anvaya Rachana, we'll do Kaha Asti, Balakaha Asti. So first Kriya Padam is Asti. Then we say the second Kriya Padam is Pathati. And then we do the Anvaya Rachana for the whatever Pathati is associated.
Anu Mahodaya.
Vadati Mahodaya.
Can you please write down everything for this sentence?
So Priya is Pathati, Kaha Pathati, Yaha Pathati. That's all.
For this sentence, Mahodaya, Yaha Sannyasi Rupena Sita Aparitavan.
I will write it. Let us first finish. Let us first finish it, and I will write it.
Thank you, Mahodaya.
Okay. I see what you're saying. Okay. I will write it as Kanchan Mahodaya is talking. So atra Kriya Pada Dvayam asti. So here it will be asti. So first we take asti as the first Kriya Pada. Kaha asti? Ravanaha asti. कीदृशः रावणः अस्ति? सः रावणः अस्ति. Then we say the second Kriya Padam is, you tell me.
Apaharitavan.
Apaharitavan. Kriya Padam is Apaharitavan. Then?
Mahodaya, tatra Aparitavan bhavati, na?
Apahritavan va? Okay. thought this was Apaharitavan. If it is Apaharitavan, then we will take it as Apaharitavan.
Okay. Kriyapadam Apaharitavan. Kaha Apaharitavan. Yaha Apaharitavan.
Vada.
Kaha Yaha Apaharitavan. Ki
Karma padam.
Kam Haritavan.
Kam.
Sitam Haritavan.
Right. And then last question.
Kidrishe Rupena Sannyasi Rupena.
Kidrushena. No, you can't use the answer that question.
Kidrushena Sannyasi Rupena.
Satyam. Or Katham. Katham is also appropriate.
Okay.
In what way did he do the Apaharanam? Sannyasi Rupena. So when you have Yad Shabda, Tat Shabda, or in a different way also, if you combine two Vakyas, you treat each Vakyam as a separate, and then you do the Anvaya for that, and then ask the appropriate questions for each of the Vakyas.
Oh, Yadi Tarhi also.
Yadi Tarhi also. Satya. Spashtam va? Prashna santi vatra?
No. Spashtam.
Let's see. Gayatri Mahode.
Manu Mahodaya.
Pruchhatu Mahode.
So, like here we split the sentences and we did the Anvai Rachana, but how come if there we have Kartum or Krutva, we don't do it? I mean, Krutva, there also we have technically two sentences, right?
Satya. There we could have done it. The reason we don't do it is it is easier to understand it just by leaving it as one sentence. But technically you are correct. We could have done it that way also. With Yad and Sad, there is a clear delineation between the two sentences, and not always is there a joining word like Kartum or Krutva or something like that. So when there is no such thing, it is easier to deal with them as two separate sentences. That's the only reason.
Mahodaya, Krutva is it becomes part of the sentence only, no? Patitva, it is only part of the sentence. It is not a separate sentence, right? Patam Patitva, Grahapatam Kritva, Likitva. So it is part of the sentence only. It is not a separate sentence like Yad and Tad Shabda, no?
You can split it also, right? Patam Patitva Nidram Karoti. So Patam Patitavan Nidram Karoti. So you can split it as two different sentences. In fact, they were two separate sentences that we happened to join using Krutva. So if you remember, we had Abhyasas also to join such vakyas.
Correct.
Gayatri Mahode Karoti.
Hey Hanuman, Sitaya.
Read this.
Hey Hanuman, Sitayaha Anveshanam Karotu. Iti Shugrivaha Uktavan.
So what is this Vakyam trying to say?
Sugriva says to Hanuman, hey Hanuman, bring Sita, let's free Sita.
Search for Sita.
Mahodaya?
Search for Sita, not bring. Anveshana is search.
Search, okay.
Ah.
Search for Sita.
Ah. So atra kriyapadam kim asti?
Uktavan.
Uktavan.
Kaha uktavan? Sugrivaha uktavan.
Then how do we proceed?
Uktavan. So Sitayaha Anveshanam karoti is a separate sentence.
Uttama. So this whole thing, so remember, iti is used as a quotation mark only. So in Sanskritam or in our languages, we didn't used to have this quotation mark. So iti just means everything preceding the word iti is a vakyam on its own. So this is a separate vakyam. So iti will not form part of your question or response. So there are two kriya padas here also, uktavan, and then in this vakyam, what is the kriya padam?
Karotu.
Karotu.
So kaha karotu? No. Tvam karotu.
Kim karotu.
So, now kim karotu? Anveshanam karotu. Kaya Anveshanam, sorry, Kasyai Anveshanam karotu.
What is the vibhakti of
Sitayaha. Kasyaha.
Kasyaha Anveshanam.
Kasyaha Anveshanam karotu. Sitayaha Anveshanam karotu. Then for hey
Hanuman. So what is Hanuman here, or hey Hanuman? What is the vibhakti?
Sambodhana.
Sambodhana prathama. So whenever you have a Sambodhana Sambodhana padam, there are no questions you can ask to it. So it is treated as part of the so let Hanuman karotu or Hanuman karotu. It is so let me write. So if we focus only on this one, so karotu kriya is the karotu. So since this is a Sambodhana, Hanuman karotu, we can write it like this, or that is how typically they write it, and then kim karotu anveshanam karotu. That's how it is written. That's how it is treated, because we cannot ask any question on a Sambodhana. So hey Hanuman, do this. Kim karotu anveshanam karotu. Kasyaha anveshanam karotu. Sitayaha anveshanam karotu.
Sitayaha.
Spashtam va? Prashnaha santi matra?
Mahodaya?
I'm asking if anybody has any doubts or questions. Astu, धन्यवादः महोदय. अग्रे सरामः. सुन्दरी महोदय, एतत् करोतु कृपया.
Hanuman samudram langitva lankam gatva sitayaha अन्वेषणं कृतवान्.
वाक्यस्य अर्थः कः?
हनुमान् समुद्रम्. After crossing the ocean and reaching Lanka, he finds Sita.
He finds not. He does a search for Sita.
Searches for Sita.
सत्यं. करोतु. क्रियापदं किम् अस्ति अत्र?
Here अन्वेषणं कृतवान्. कृतवान् is क्रियापदम्. किं कृतवान्? अन्वेषणं कृतवान्.
कर्ता अस्ति वा अत्र?
सीताया.
सीताया.
हनुमान्.
अस्ति संबोधना भवति.
करेक्ट. हनुमान्. कः अन्वेषणं कृतवान्? हनुमान् अन्वेषणं कृतवान्.
No. You are asking too many questions. क्रियापदम् is कृतवान्. कः कृतवान्? हनुमान् कृतवान्.
अन्वेषणं कृतवान्. कस्याः अन्वेषणं कृतवान्? सीतायाः अन्वेषणं कृतवान्.
No, Mahoday, you are not getting the point.
Okay.
Krutavan is Kriyapadam. You cannot ask Kaha Anveshanam Krutavan. We haven't come to Anveshana. We are first trying to identify the Karta. So you have to ask Kaha Krutavan, Hanuman Krutavan. Hanuman Kim Krutavan, Hanuman Anveshanam
Krutavan.
So remember, for each question, you can expect only one word as the answer, except for situations like this. And we talked about this in detail.
Okay. So, Kritavan is Kriyapadam. Kaha Kritavan, Hanuman Kritavan. Hanuman Kim Kritavan, Hanuman Anveshanam Kritavan. Hanuman Kasyaha Anveshanam Kritavan. Hanuman Sitayaha Anveshanam Kritavan.
Satya.
Kim Kritva Hanuman Sitayaha Anveshanam Kritavan. Hanuman Lankam Gatva Sitayaha Anveshanam Kritavan.
No. Because you are saying two words as the answer. Lankam Gatva. Only one word. Your response should be only
Kim
one
Kritva
word.
Gatva.
Kim Kritva Gatva.
Can I say Kutra Gatva, Lankam Gatva, Anveshanam Kritavan?
Kutra Gatva, Lankam Gatva.
Again, Kim Kritva, Hanuman, Lankam Gatva Sitayaha Anveshanam Kritavan. Hanuman Langitva Lankam Gatva Sitayaha Anveshanam Kritavan.
One thing to note here, this is Swa, Langitva. Gatva is also Swa, so you can say Punaha Kim Krutva.
Punaha Kim Krutva Lankam Gatva Sitayaha Anveshanam Kritavan. Then Samudram.
Samudra. Punlinga is Samudra is Punlinga.
Kam Langitva Lankam Gatva Sitayaha Anveshanam Kritavan. Samudram Langitva Lankam Gatva Sitayaha Anveshanam Kritavan.
Uttama. उत्तमम्। अत्र प्रश्नाः सन्ति वा?
आं महोदय।
पृच्छतु महोदय।
लङ्कां गत्वा कुत्र गत्वा, right?
कुत्र गत्वा?
So not किं गत्वा.
So again, gatva is a gam dhatu padam. So the response to kutra for a gam dhatu will be in Ditya Vibhakti. So kutra gatva.
Kutra gatva, and then okay. Kim krutva, punaha kim krutva, langitva. And then where do you put samudram there? Kim langitva?
Kam langitva. Samudra is
oh, I'm sorry, kam langitva. Okay. Dhanyawad.
Mahodaya, one question. So we'll ask Kriya is Krutavan, then Kaha Krutavan is Hanuman Krutavan. Hanuman Kim Krutavan is Hanuman Anveshanam Krutavan. Hanuman Kasyaha Anveshanam Krutavan, Sitayaha Anveshanam Krutavan. After that, what question we ask? Kutra Gatva? No. Kutra Gatva na. Kim Krutva. Because this is, you still need to ask a question to get Gatva as the answer. So, Kim Krutva Sitayaha Anveshanam Krutavan. Gatva Sitayaha Anveshanam Krutavan. Kutra Gatva Anveshanam Krutavan. Lankam Gatva Anveshanam Krutavan. Here again, there is one more swa pratyaya. So we'll say punaha kim krutva sitayah lankam gatva sitayah anveshanam krutavan langhitva etc. And then kam langhitva samudram langhitva. Dhanyawadaha Mahodaya.
So you cannot use the expected answer as part of your question. You cannot say kutra gatva sitayah anveshanam krutavan. If you are expecting gatva as the answer, so you have to say kim krutva sitayah anveshanam krutavan gatva sitayah anveshanam krutavan. Anye prashnaः santi va?
Mahodaya, Hanuman is what form?
Hanumat Sakaranta Pumlinga.
Sakaranta.
So this will be Prathama Ekavachana Pumlinga.
Vidvas Shabda.
Bhavan.
Sakara.
Bhavan.
Dimat Shabda.
Bhavat. Tatha Dadhana.
Dhimat Shabda.
Dhiman Dhimantau Dhimantaha. Hanuman Hanumantau Hanumantaha. Satya.
Bhagavan.
Bhagavan. Satya. Usha Mahat.
Same as Mahat Shabda. Mahat Shabda.
Mahan Mahantau Mahantaha. Usha Mahat. Antimam Karot.
Ramaha Ravanam Kritva Sitam Rakshitva Koshla Desham Ekadasha Sahasra Varshani Palitavan.
This is Hatva, not Kritva, Hatva.
Oh, sorry. Hatva.
So what does this mean?
Ramaha, after killing, Hatva is killing, Ravanan rescues Sita.
Rescued Rakshitva, and after rescuing.
After rescuing Sita, goes to the Koshala Desham. Palitavan is goes to the Koshala Desham for Ekadasha Sahasra Varshani, for Ekadasha 11. I don't know my Ramayana. I'm very sorry. So I don't know how many years he was there.
No problem. 11,000 years.
11,000 years. Yeah.
So if you, I don't know if you observed, this whole set of 10 sentences is telling the story of Ramayana only.
11,000 years.
11,000 years. Karoti.
So Kriyapadam is palitavan. Kaha palitavan, Ramaha palitavan.
Karma padam.
Kam palitavan, Sitam palitavan.
Sitam rakshitavan.
Oh,
Sitam na
sorry. Palitavan is what? Sorry.
Ruled.
Ruled. Oh, sorry. Okay.
You can. So you can say palitavan for Sita, children or whatever, taking care of, nurturing, ityapi artha asti. So you could have said Sitam palitavan if it was related to that, but here it says Sitam rakshitva.
It should be Kam palitavan is Koshala Desham palitavan.
Koshala Desham palitavan.
For how long? What is for how long? Kati varshani palitavan. Eka sahasra varshani palitavan. Kim kritva Koshalesham Eka dasha sahasra varshani palitavan. Rakshitva. Kam rakshitva. No, Kam rakshitva. Then Sitam rakshitva.
Kam.
Yeah.
Kam.
Ka. Not Kam.
Kam. Sitam. So kake kaha,
yeah.
kan kaha.
Yeah. Okay, Kam. Then punaha Kim kritva Sitam rakshitva Koshaladesham Ekadasha varshani palitavan hatva.
Hatva.
Then Kam kritva Sitam rakshitva, etc.
Kam hatva. Kam krutva, kam hatva. You already got hatva as the response. Kam hatva.
Kam hatva, Ravanam hatva.
Ravanam hatva. Uttama. So I think we have covered asking questions in various situations. Now let us apply that to shloka. So this will form the foundation for understanding the a shloka. So there are many ways of understanding shloka, but we will learn one form, which is the akaksha kramena anvaya paddhati. So if you look at a vakyam, Pita uttamayai balikayai sundaram sanganakam adadat, we can see various things. We've covered this, but just as a revision. What are the various things we observe here? The words are arranged in a proper order, which will help us in understanding that. So in Sanskritam, there is no specified order as such, but this form, as we have seen many times, is easier to understand. So what is that form? Kriya Padam is at the end, and Karta is at the beginning. And then the Uttamayai Balikayai. So Balikayai is the Vishesham, Uttamayai is the Visheshanam. So the Visheshana, Vishesha, they are placed next to each other, with the Visheshana being before the Vishesha Padam. Same way here, Sundaram Sanganakam. So Sundaram Visheshana Sanganakam, and it is placed before Sanganakam. So it is strictly okay to say Pita Sundaram Balikayai Uttamayai Sanganakam Adadat. But because Sundaram can only go with Sanganakam and Uttamayai can only go with Balikayai, we will rearrange the words in a way that makes sense. But when placed in this order, it's easier, right? So Kriya is at the end, Karta is at the beginning, Visheshana, Vishesha Bhavaha, the words are placed next to each other with the Visheshana being placed before the Vishesha. So this is the order which we find easier to understand. So same way, we have to, if we do it for a shloka. So in a shloka, for example, this one, Vasudeva Sutam Devam Kamsa Chanura Mardanam Devaki Paramanandam Krishnam Vande Jagadguru. So are the different words in any particular order that we are used to? No. Atra Kriya Padam Kim Asti?
Vande.
Vande Asti. Karta Kaha?
Aham.
Aham. Karta atra drishyate api na. It is not even specified. We infer that based on the fact that Vande can only go with aham. Karma padam asti va? Kam Vande?
Krishnam Vande.
Krishnam Vande. So this is karma padam. And Vasudeva Sutam, Devaki Paramanandam, they all end in So most likely they are most likely Visheshanas of Krishna, but we don't know until we analyze the whole thing. So would it help if compare that with if he had a sentence like this, Vasudeva Sutam Devam Kamsa Chanura Mardanam Devaki Paramanandam Jagadgurum Krishnam Vande. So if you had a vakyam like this, isn't this easier to understand?
Yes.
Because Kriya is here, the karma is here, and all the different visheshanas of this are placed next to it and before it. So this is easier to understand. So how do we get from that form to this form is what Akamsha Kramena Anvayaha, that this whole exercise is all about. So let us see what the steps involved are. So the first thing we need to do is Padachedaha or Padavibhagaha. So we have to identify the different padas in this shloka. So what are the different padhas? Vasudeva Sutam, is this one padam? Yes. And then what are the different padas? This
Deva.
Devam.
Devam.
Kamsa Chanura Mardanam.
No, Kamsa Chanura.
No. Take the whole thing as one. Kamsa Chanura
Mardanam.
Devaki Paramanandam.
Krishnam.
Jagadguru.
Vande.
Jagadguru. So these are all the separate words. So we first write down what are the different words in this shloka. If there is a sandhi, we also have to do the sandhi vicheda, but we haven't studied sandhi, so we will take up only shlokas that don't have sandhi, or we'll do the sandhi for you. And once we study sandhis, we will take up shlokas that where we have to do the sandhi vicheda also. For now, let us ignore the ones that have sandhi. So once you identify the different words, before you can even analyze a shloka, you have to know the basic meaning or the context for any shloka. Without understanding the context, without even knowing who Krishna is, we won't even know that Kamsa Chanura Mardanam, the one who has killed Kamsa and Chanura, etc. Right? In our case, we happen to know because we have been. Can you please mute yourself, Sundari Mahoday?
Oh, sorry.
So in our case, we happen to know that Krishna is somebody who killed Kamsa and Chanura. He's also the son of Vasudeva. But in this particular case, that is fine. But there will be shlokas. If you pick out a shloka at random, it's not known what the shloka is talking about. So most of the time, the tatparyam or the samanya arthaha will be given to us. or at least the context will be given. So at random, there are crores and crores of shloka. So if somebody gives you a shloka at random, it is very hard to find out the meaning or do the vayarchana of that. So usually you'll have some context to that. So Samanyastaha, what is the Samanyastaha? So to the son of Vasudeva, to the divine God, to the killer of Kamsa and Chanura, to the supreme happiness of Devaki, and to Krishna, who is also the teacher of the world, I go. So that is the general meaning. So then what we do is, we've identified each of these, right? So let us try to find out what is the vivaranam of each padam, so that we can then ask, we can know what types of questions to ask for each padam. So this is the pada vicheda form. So these are all the words that we got from splitting the sentence, splitting the shloka into independent words. So what is Vasudeva Sutam? It is akarantaha punlingaha Vasudeva Sutta shabdaha, and it is in Ditya Vibhakti Ekavachana. So usually we know that things that end in will be in Ditya Vibhakti, and since we are talking about Krishna and Sutta is son, Sutam will be akaranta pumlinga, and it will be in Ditya Vibhakti. Same way, Devam, what will it be? What is the vivaranam of Devam?
Akaranta pullinga deva shabdaha dvitiya vibhakti ekavachana.
Uttama. Anantaram Lakshmi Mahode Kamsa Chanura Martanam.
Same Maurya, akaranta pullingaha Kamsa Chanura Mardhana Shabdaha Dvitiya Mardhana Dvitiya Vibhakti Ekavachanam.
Ekavachanam. Say Devaki Paramanandam.
Same Maurya, because it is
same. Krishnam, same thing. Vande ityasya.
Atmanepadi.
Vivaranam dadatu Vande shabdasya.
Atmanepadi. Vand dhatu. Vande. Sorry, Vandatu, Atmanepadi, and Prathama Purusha.
Prathama va.
Prathama.
Vandate, vandete, vandante.
Vandate, vandeta, mande. Aham mande. Sorry, Madhya. Uttama Purusha.
Uttama Purusha. Vachanam.
Ekavachanam. Uttama Purusha, Ekavachanam. Vandatu. Addatu, Atmanepadi, Latlakara.
And Jagat Gurum is the same as the other.
Same as Krishna.
So now that we know what is the Linga, Vachana, Vibhakti, and also the Lakara, Ityadi of the Kriya Padam, then we will know what types of questions to ask on each word. But before we do that, it will help to know what is the meaning of each of the words. So what is the meaning of Vasudeva Sutam? So here we saw the general meaning. Okay, fine. We got the context for this shloka. So we know the general meaning. But now, if you want to understand the shloka in detail, we have to know the meaning of each of the words, right? So what is Vasudeva Sutam? To the son of Vasudeva. It's not just the son of Vasudeva. It is to the son of Vasudeva, because this is in Ditya Vibhakti, right? And Ditya Vibhakti will be two. Same way, Devam, to the God. Lakshmi Mahode, Krupya mute Madhya Bhavatu. Kamsa Chanura Martanam. to the killer of Kamsa and Chanura, Devaki Paramanandam to the happiness of Devaki, Krishnam to Krishna, one day I bow, because it's in Uttama Purusha, Jagadguru, to the teacher of the universe. Okay, so now we have a better picture of the shloka. Now that we know the meaning of each word, now that we know the vivaranam of each word, we can start asking questions about it. So, atra kriya padam kim asti? One day asti. So what will be the questions that we can ask?
Kaha vande.
Kaha vande.
Aham vande.
Aham vande. Aham is adhyahrutam.
Kam vande.
So okay. One more thing. Before we start asking questions, because we have atra pashyatu, we have identified the vivaranam, the linga, vibhakti, vachana of each word. What will help is to group all of the words together. So all the prathama vibhakti words in one grouping, ditya vibhakti words in one grouping, etc. Now it will be easy to ask questions. Kaha vande, aham vande, kam vande, krishnam vande, kidrusham krishnam vande, vasudeva sutam, punaha kidrusham devam, punaha punaha punaha, until you exhaust the entire. So after you do this, you now have a sense of the different meanings of the different words, and also how they are related, what is the anvaya to kriya padam. Then you can rearrange the words in a sense, in an order that makes sense to us, or that we are used to. Kriya at the end, karta in the beginning, all the visheshanams together, them being placed before the vishesham, etc. So this form, as we have seen, is easier to understand. So then we can write very specific meaning that is associated with this form of the shloka. So I bow to the son of Vasudeva. I, because it is one thing. So in the Parichaya book and in other books, you will see these steps detailed in a different order. There is no standard format on how you go through these steps. So don't get confused if you look in your book and see a different order. We have placed it in this order because we think this helps us understand things better, at least at our level. And that is why we chose this order. In your book, you'll find a different order. But at the end, they all follow the same steps. The sequence may be slightly different. So to summarize the different steps, first split the shloka into individual words. Then what is the general meaning of the shloka, whether it is given to us or our general understanding of the shloka, because we have built up some vocabulary so far and we have learned some context, some vyakaranam, we can come up with a basic meaning of the shloka. We may not understand the entire shloka, for which we have to do all of these steps, but at least we can come up with a basic meaning of the shloka if it is not given to us. And then identify the different words and their vivaranam, linga, vachana, vibhakti, etc. And then do the meaning of each word. So if you don't know the meaning of words, look it up in the kosha. And then identify, group the words together by vibhakti, by if there is more than one kriya pada, put them all together. If there are many pratyayas used in a vakyam, group all of them together, because that will make step number 6 easy. Step number 6 is the Akanksha Kramena Anvaya, what we have been doing in the last class and this class, this one. And once you finish asking all these questions, then rewrite the given original shloka in a form that makes it easier to understand. So that is the sequence of steps. Let's look at one example. Let's go through one example quickly, and that will help solidify the concept. So let's take something that is very familiar to us. Udyamena hi siddhanti karyani na manorathaihi na suptasya simhasya mukhe pravishanti mrugaha. Chaitra Mahoday, Prathamam, first step is Padacheda.
Padacheda, Padavibhagaha.
So, or Padavibhaga, both mean the same. Sandhi nasti atra, so we can ignore Sandhi for now. What are the different words here?
Udyama.
Udyamena. Let's take the word as they appear.
Udyamena siddhyanti nahi siddhyanti atra kriya padam asti.
We'll get to that in a second. First, identify the different words in this shloka. Just
Udyamena, Udyamena hi siddhyanti karyani na next one manorathaihi punha na asti suptasya simhasya mukhe pravishanti mrugaha.
Uttama. So udyamena hi siddhanti karyani na manorathaihi na suptasya simhasya mukhe pravishanti mrugaha. So these are the different padas in this shloka. So it may seem like a redundant step to us. It may seem like why do we need to do this? It's all clear just from the shloka. Let's first learn the procedure. Once sandhis enter the picture, then it will become clear why we are doing this. Because in this shloka, we have fixed it in such a way that there are no sandhis, but there are many shlokas where lots of sandhis will be there. So it helps to identify individual words. So you have to break up the sandhi and then identify the different words. But because we have not learned sandhis, we are just learning the procedure. Learn the procedure first, and then you can apply the same thing once we have shlokas with sandhi. Dvitiyam kim karaniyam?
Samanya arthaha. Samanya arthaha. So one can achieve only by hard work and not merely by wishing, manorathaihi. One can achieve the various whatever work or karyani. The second line is so no animals enter sleeping lion's mouth.
Correct. So, just like no sleeping animals enter no animals enter a sleeping lion's mouth by themselves. Satya. Trutiyam kim karaniyam. So we know just the general gist of it. We don't know the detailed meaning of each of the words, or we don't know how they are related to kriya padam, etc. Trutiyam kim karaniyam.
Vyakaranam shaha. Vivaranam.
Karotu.
Vivaranam. Atra nahi siddhyanti kriyapadam asti mahodaya.
That is the Anvaya Krama. We'll do that in a minute. Let's do the Vivaranam of each padam.
Astu. उद्यमेन अत्र उद्यमेन उद्यमा अकारान्तः पुल्लिङ्गः उद्यमशब्दः एकवचनं तृतीया विभक्त्याम् अस्ति
उत्तमम्
हि अत्र अव्यय अस्ति खलु
आमां सत्यं सत्यं
सिद्ध्यन्ति क्रियापदं सिद्ध धातु प्रायशः बहुवचनं लट् लकारः प्रथमपुरुष
उत्तमम् उत्तमम्
कार्याणि कार्याणि अत्र अकारान्तः नपुंसकलिङ्गः कार्यशब्दः बहुवचने अस्ति बहुवचने प्रथमा विभक्ति
बहुवचनं so the reason we do this is now karyani, it could be prathama vibhakti, it could be ditiya vibhakti. How do we know? Right? We don't know. So if we don't know just by looking at it, let us make note here that it could be prathama or it could be ditiya. So how do we know whether it is prathama or ditiya? Only when we start asking questions, only when we do the anvaya kriya. Only when we start asking kaha karoti, kim karoti, etc. That is when we will be able to determine whether this is prathama vibhakti or ditiya vibhakti.
महोदय न अपि अत्र अव्यय अव्ययं मनोरथैः मनोरथैः मनोरथः अकारान्त पुल्लिङ्गः शब्दः मनोरथ तृतीया विभक्त्याम् अस्ति बहुवचने अस्ति महोदय
उत्तमम्
पुनः न अव्ययं सुप्तस्य अत्र सुप्त विशेषण अपि अस्ति षष्ठी विभक्ति अकारान्त पुल्लिङ्ग सुप्तः शब्दः षष्ठी विभक्ति एकवचने सुप्तशब्द षष्ठी विभक्ति एकवचने अस्ति सिंहः अपि अकारान्त पुल्लिङ्गः सिंह शब्द सिंह शब्द षष्ठी विभक्ति एकवचने अस्ति मुखे मुखे अत्र अकारान्त नपुंसकलिङ्ग शब्द मुख मुखे सप्तमी विभक्ति एकवचने अस्ति
उत्तमम्
प्रविशन्ति क्रियापदं प्रविशन्ति विश् धातु प्रायशः अत्र उपसर्ग अस्ति खलु विश् धातु लट् लकारः प्रथमपुरुष बहुवचने अस्ति
उत्तमम्
मृगाः मृगाः मृगः प्रायशः अकारान्त पुल्लिङ्गः मृगशब्द
सत्यं
मृगशब्द प्रथमा विभक्ति बहुवचने अस्ति
उत्तमम् उत्तमम् so we have now given the vivaranam for each word. Let's also look at the meaning of each word. So I don't want to, we are out of time, but I also don't want to stop it in the middle. Can you all wait for 10 minutes? Is that okay? I'll try to wrap it up. Dhanyawad. So anantaram kim karaniyam pratipadasya artham lekhaniyam. So my suggestion is use the kosha and write the meaning in English and Sanskritam if possible, wherever possible. That way you will increase your vocabulary and it will also help you to use the kosha, different koshas. You can write the meaning in English. In the exam, I think they only expect you to write the meaning in English. But my suggestion is try to at least, for as many words as possible, write the meaning in Sanskritam also. And while writing the meaning, try to match the vibhakti. Udyamena, we know it is Krutya Ekavachanam, so write it in Parishramena, don't write it as Parishrama. Then as you look at the meaning, it will become very clear that this is with effort, not just effort. With effort or by effort asti iti ज्ञातुं सुलभं भवति. ति अव्ययं तस्य अर्थः तु इति वक्तुं शक्यते और इंडीड अस्ति. अनन्तरं करोतु चैत्र महोदय. सिद्ध्यन्ति
सिद्ध्यन्ति achieving siddhyanti
can be achieved.
Can be achieved.
Labhante. Samskrute labhante. Why labhante? Because this is bahuvachanam. Siddhyanti. Bahuvachanam asti atah labhante, not labhate. Or prapyate, prapyate, prapyante. Tadapi vaktum shakyate. So try to match the vachana and the vibhakti. The only thing that we may not always be possible to match is the linga, because in Sanskritam, the linga is associated with the word, not with the object that we are referring to.
Karyani are the tasks or whatever we wish to achieve.
Vyavaharaha.
Vyavaharaha.
महोदय
एकक्षणम् अत्र पश्यतु. कार्याणि इति नपुंसकलिङ्गम् अस्ति बहुवचने, परन्तु अत्र व्यवहाराः पुंलिङ्गे अस्ति परन्तु बहुवचने. So same thing. So the word that we use in Sanskrita, the linga of that is not dependent on the object that we are pointing to, but just on the word.
So it can be siddhyanti and labhante. So one may be in parasmayapadi, other may be in atmanapadi.
Right. Because we are just writing the meaning for our understanding. Our asmakam avagamanartham.
Okay.
Okay. It can be parasmay, it can be atmani. Na is na.
Not.
Manorathai.
Just wishing, the wishes, the manorathaihi bahuvachane asti. So by wishing,
by wishes, by desires.
By desires.
Samskrite.
Again, not.
Samskrite manorathaihi ityasya arthah ichchapiti. I'm sure you can look up other words in kosha. Anantaram suptasya.
Suptasya sleeping, I mean in slumber, lying in slumber. So suptasya off sleeping, off sleeping.
Shashti vibhakta asti atah off sleeping iti. So when you are writing the meaning in English, if you follow the vibhakti, then it will be easy to understand the shloka. So in this case, it's very easy shloka. But as you proceed to higher and higher classes, and as we pick up harder and harder shlokas, it helps to have this habit ingrained right from day one of using the vibhakti in the anuvadam also.
Simhasya offline.
Offline. Mrugendrasya Kesarinaha ete paryayapadaha santi Samskrite.
Astu. Mukhe into the mouth. Into or in the mouth.
आस्ये वदने इति संस्कृते
Pravishanti enters, bahuvachane, enter.
enter
bahuvachane.
गच्छन्ति
Mrugaha animals. Pashavaha jantavaha.
पशवः जन्तवः इत्यादि अनन्तरं किं करणीयम्
Anantaram grouping into vibhaktis kriyapade pratyaya avyayai. Kriyapadam
कति क्रियापदानि सन्ति
siddhyanti pravishanti.
सिद्ध्यन्ति प्रविशन्ति अनन्तरं प्रथमविभक्तौ कति पदानि सन्ति के पदाः सन्ति
प्रथमा विभक्तौ मृगाः अस्ति महोदय
केवलं कार्याणि
कार्याणि आमामामाम्
but we said we don't know if it is prathama vibhakti or dvitiya vibhakti, so let us keep a question mark here.
Astu. Tritiya vibhakti udyamena manorathaihi. Chaturthi atra nasti, panchami api nasti, shashti suptasya simhasya. Saptami mukhe. Anantaram nahi atra avye kalu nahi.
Avyayam iti napunsakalingam, so avyayani.
Avyayani. Oh, astu. I was thinking of dvivachana, so I said avyaye.
Oh, you said dvivachana. Okay. But generally we say avyayani because we don't know how many there are here. Satyam. Atra pratyaya purita shabdaha santi va?
Pratyaya aham na janami mahodaya.
No, any swa pratyaya, lyap pratyaya.
Nasti mahodaya atra.
Yadi asti chet tadapi grouping karaniyam. Tena api grouping karaniyam. You have to group them also. Tesham.
Astu mahodaya.
Anantaram
Vishleshanam. Kriyapadam.
Astu. Let's give a chance to somebody else. Viraj Mahodaya.
Astu Mahodaya. So
next step is to ask the questions that we in the same order that we have learned so far.
Okay. Then Kriyapada is Pravishanti. We will take one sentence there.
So there are two Kriyapadas, right? Siddhyanti and Pravishanti. So you want to take Pravishanti first. Astu. Karo.
Okay. Kaha Pravishanti. Mrugaha Pravishanti. Kutra Pravishanti. Mukhe Pravishanti.
Ekakshanam. So from the general meaning that we saw of this shloka, we saw that they don't enter. Na pravishanti. Right? So we can treat na pravishanti as the kriyapada, not just pravishanti, because that helps understand the meaning better. So let's take kriyapadam as na pravishanti.
Kaha na pravishanti. Mrugaha na pravishanti. Putra na pravishanti. Mukhe na pravishanti. Then Kidrishasya Mukhe na pravishanti. Simhasya Mukhe na pravishanti.
Na. Tatra identify the station first.
Kasya Mukhe na pravishanti. सिंहस्य मुखेन प्रविशन्ति कीदृशसिंहस्य मुखेन प्रविशन्ति सुप्तस्य सिंहस्य मुखेन प्रविशन्ति
Ask the question again. What is the question?
कीदृशस्य सिंहस्य
कीदृशस्य
सुप्तस्य सिंहस्य मुखे न प्रविशन्ति is the first sentence. Second one siddhyanti.
Siddhyanti.
Then karyani we said, so yeah, I think only that is there in the pratama vibhakti, so we have to ask kim ke kani
siddhyanti.
Kani siddhyanti, karyani siddhyanti. Then
so we said karyani could be in prathama vibhakti or ditya vibhakti, because in napunsakalinga we don't know. So what is not achieved atra, then by asking the question, then you will know whether it will be prathama vibhakti or ditya vibhakti.
And I think na and he are there, so we should add it to the kriya pada.
So karyani siddhyanti. Are we saying karyani na siddhyanti, or are we saying karyani siddhyanti? In the samanya artha, are we saying things are achieved by efforts or not achieved by efforts? Atra pashyatu, these by efforts or not succeed by efforts. Kim asti? Negation. Negation not. Right? So siddhyanti only, not na siddhyanti.
Astu. That's why we said have a general meaning first.
That is why it helps to have the general meaning first.
Then we have words. So kena, we said karyani siddhyanti. Udyamena karyani siddhyanti.
Kena siddhyanti. Udyamena karyani siddhyanti. Satyam.
And then he avyaya is there, so we can add it to this one.
We can say kena hi siddhyanti, udyamena hi siddhyanti, but avyayas like he, they are only emphasizing the point. They are not adding any actual meaning to the sentence. Whether we say udyamena siddhyanti or udyamena hi siddhyanti, the meaning doesn't change. It is only emphasizing indeed things succeed or things succeed. There is no real difference. So you can drop he also from your list of questions. It doesn't change for them.
Astu. Then manorataihi is there. Kaihi karyani siddhyanti. Manorataihi karyani siddhyanti.
Evam va kaihi siddhyanti va. By wishes they are succeeding.
No, then we have to ask, say, add na to it.
Kaihi na siddhyanti.
Okay, so avyaya pada we can use it without any questions.
Correct, because we can't ask any questions to an avyaya, or at least to these kinds of avyaya. For avyayas like tumun pratyaya, definitely we can ask questions like kim kartum, etc. But for avyayas like na and he, there are no questions we can ask.
Kaihi na siddhyanti.
Manorathai. Na siddhyanti. Uttama. Uttama. So now that we have asked all the questions and got all the responses, now we can arrange these different words in an order that makes sense to us. So it is just rearranging the existing words, not adding any new words. So karyani udyamena siddhyanti na manorathaiti. Yatha is we are adding just to help us understand the meaning better, and that's why we put it in brackets. Yatha, just as, मृगाः सुप्तस्य सिंहस्य मुखे न प्रविशन्ति. Swayameva, again he added to help us understand the meaning. That's why we put it in brackets. And then we can rewrite this or translate this into English for even better understanding. So we take each vakyam and write its meaning in English. So things get done by effort and not by desire alone. Just like animals don't enter a sleeping lion's mouth by themselves. So this form hopefully is more understandable than the original form. अस्तु, स्पष्टं वा? प्रश्नाः सन्ति वा? अस्तु, धन्यवादः for staying little late. क्षम्यताम्. Hopefully this will become more clear as we do homework related to this. We'll practice some more in the next class. अस्तु, गायत्री महोदय अस्ति वा? मङ्गलश्लोकं करोतु महोदय. मङ्गलश्लोकम्.
सहना भवतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यं करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै. ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः. ॐ गुरुभ्यो
पूर्णमदः पूर्णमिदं पूर्णात् पूर्णमुदच्यते पूर्णस्य पूर्णमादाय पूर्णमेवावशिष्यते. ओम शांति शांति शांति. हरिः ओम. श्री गुरुभ्यो नमः. हरिः ओम. धन्यवादाः.